Hi guys, it's me, Ms. Mason, and I have another book for you. This one is called Fossils Tell of Long Ago, and it's by Aliki. Okay, and this is published by Houghton Mifflin, and we have permission to read it. So, Fossils Tell of Long Ago. Once upon a time, a huge fish was swimming around when along came a smaller fish. The big fish was hungry, so it swallowed the other fish whole. The big fish died and sank to the bottom of the sea. How did the fish become a fossil? Most animals and plants do not become fossils when they die. Some rot. Pee-you-wee! Others dry up, crumble, and blow away. No trace of them is left. This could have happened to the big fish. We would never know it had lived. Instead, the fish became a fossil. This is how it happened. You can see here there's a dead stinky fish and the little boy, pee-you-wee. When the big fish died, it sank into the mud at the bottom of the sea. Slowly, the soft parts of the fish rotted away. Only its hard bones were left. The bones of the fish it had eaten were left too. The skeleton of the fish lay buried and protected deep in the mud. Thousands of years went by. More layers of mud covered up the fish. Tons and tons of mud piled up. After a long time, the surface of the earth changed. The sea where the fish was buried dried out. So here's the fish. Here he is a skeleton. Here he is getting buried and more buried. The weight of the layers of mud pressed down. Slowly the mud turned to rock. As that happened, groundwater seeped through the changing layers of mud. Minerals were dissolved in the water. The water seeped into all the tiny holes in the fish bones. The minerals in the water were left behind in the fish bones. After a very long time, the bones turned to stone. The fish was a fossil. Some fossils, like the fish, are actual parts of plants or animals that have turned to stone. Sometimes a fossil is only an imprint of a plant or animal. Millions of years ago, a leaf fell off a fern-like plant. It dropped onto the swampy forest soil, which is called peat. The leaf rotted away, but it left the mark of its shape in the peat. The peat, with the imprint of the leaf, hardened. It became a rock called coal. Coal is a fossil too. All right, so this little boy is saying, peat is made up of mushy, rotted leaves. And she says, we use peat in the garden to make plants grow. And then here's the seed fern imprint. Okay, and then this guy here is saying, look how perfect the leaf looks. And she says, lots of other things have been found in coal. And she says, even dinosaurs. And this one says, this shell was buried whole, but when scientists split the rock, the shell crumbled away. This is only its imprint. And he says, here's the other half. These are dinosaur tracks. They were made in fresh mud 115 million years ago. Sand filled the dinosaurs' footprints in the mud. The sand hardened into a rock called sandstone. Millions of years later, fossil hunters dug through the rock. They found the fossil tracks, exact imprints of the dinosaur's foot. Okay, so this guy is saying, it's Iguanodon. And this one is saying, these footprints tell us a lot about Iguanodon. And she says, scientists can tell how big it was. And she says, and how fast it moved. And he says, and that it walked on 2 legs. All that from a footprint. Not all fossils are found in stone. Some are found in the frozen ground of the Arctic. This ancient mammoth was a kind of elephant. It froze to death thousands of years ago. The grass it had been eating was still in its mouth. Okay, so there's the mammoth. And here's the kids. And she says, part of it was showing through the melted ice. And she says, scientists found pounds of grass and moss in its stomach. And this guy says, the mammoth was fresh enough to eat. And he says, oh, I wouldn't dare. The famous mammoth found accidentally in 1901 in Siberia. Millions of years ago, a fly was caught in the sticky sap of a tree. The sap hardened and became a fossil called amber. Amber looks like yellow glass. The fly was perfectly preserved in the amber. Other insects have been preserved in amber too. We have learned many things from the fish, the fern, the fly, and the dinosaur tracks. Fossils tell us about the past. So she is saying, my mother has an amber necklace. He says, here's the fly, and a spider, ants, a cockroach. They all got stuck in the sticky sap. Sorry, these pages aren't turning. There we go. Fossils tell us where there once were forests where there are now deserts. Fossils tell us there once were seas where now there are mountains. So on this side, he says fossils of these plants and animals were found in that desert. That's the Painted Desert and the Petrified Forest. I've been there. Petrified means turned to stone. Wow, a fossil forest. 200 million years ago, today. And on this side, these fossils of sea creatures were found on mountains. The earth has changed a lot since then. So we have coral, trilobite, crinoids, belemnite, ammonite, brachiopod. Many lands that are cold today were once warm. We find fossils of tropical plants in very cold places. Fossils tell us about strange creatures that lived on Earth long ago. No such creatures are alive today. They have all died out. We say they are extinct. Okay, so it looks like a fern, which would be growing in a very warm, wet place, not in a very cold place like that. And here he says dinosaur bones. It's Stegosaurus. That's Pteranodon, the flying reptile. Here's an ichthyosaur. It was quite a swimmer. I love museums. Some fossils are found by scientists who dig for them. Some fossils are found by accident. You too might find a fossil if you look really hard. When you see a stone, look at it carefully. It may be a fossil of something that once lived. Okay, and he's saying, look, there's the fish it ate too. And they say nothing ever happens in Kansas. This is a great find. Look, they found the fish from the beginning of the book. And here, I found this fossil at the seashore. Lucky. It says you can find fossils in the woods too, or where they just dug a new road, or up in the mountains. We saw fossils in the marble walls of a big building. Marble is polished limestone where many fossils have been found. I want to find a fossil. And you know, here in Austin, you actually can find fossils. They look like closed up clams usually, but you can find them on the ground by creeks, rivers, wherever. They do exist. How would you like to make a fossil? Not a 1 million year old fossil, a 1 minute old fossil. Make a clay imprint of your hand. The imprint shows what your hand is like, the way a dinosaur's track shows us what its foot was like. Okay, first you take some clay, then you flatten it out, press your hand in the clay, then lift your hand away. Okay, my handprint! You old fossil, you! This is fun! So if you have clay or Play-Doh at home, you can try this. Suppose when it dried out, you buried your clay imprint. Suppose 1,000,000 years from now someone found it. Your imprint would be as hard as stone. It would be a fossil of your hand. It would tell the finder something about you. It would tell something about life on Earth 1,000,000 years earlier. Okay, so he's saying, I hereby bury you, fossil. Someone would know all about me, how big I am, how many fingers I have. Here lie 2 fossils. Then I'd go to school and take dance lessons and play the piano and sing and read books and love avocados. Ha 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 ha! Every time someone finds a fossil, we learn more about life on Earth long ago. Someday you may find a fossil, one that is millions and millions of years old. You may discover something no one knows today. I wonder what people will look like 1,000,000 years from now. Find anything yet? And that is the end of Fossils Tell of Long Ago by Aliki. I hope you enjoyed this book, and I'll see you later.